Alright friends, the last of our broth series, so after this point we'll have to embark on a new cooking journey together. It's basically the same parts as the pork bone broth, just off of a cow instead of a pig. It's a hoof. Remember when we talked about bone thickness in the fish video? Fish bones are the thinnest and we only cooked those for about an hour and a half in a pressure cooker. And then we had chicken bones. That's not very long, maybe 4 or 5 hours in a pressure cooker. We had the pork bones. We did that for about 18 hours. Beef bones are just thicker than pork bones. So we're going to need some additional time on these to get all of the collagen out of these bones. As of now, I'm thinking probably about a day. For the sake of completeness, probably we'll go just a little bit longer to just test and make sure. Better go too long here for the sake of science than not get it all. So I'm thinking between 24 and 30 hours. Right, in the pressure cooker, mind you, not just boiling on the stove. If you're just gonna boil these things on the stove, you're talking 3 days. As per last time, step 1 is going to be get these things cleaned off. Basically get any excess blood out of the picture. So how we're gonna do that is cover these in water, boil them for about 20 minutes, pour that water out, and then put them back in the pressure cooker, and then we'll actually start the cooking process. So tomorrow, in my time, and in maybe 6 minutes in magical internet time, we will wind up.
God, this is so. I mean, these bones are gigantic. Look at this. This is a bone, right? Just this here. Right? This is bone. These things are humongous. We might have to go longer than 24 hours. Holy cow, this is giant. Oh man. Have your butcher cut these for you because these bones are super thick. And unless you have like a saw that you're willing to use on these, it's gonna be hard to just cut these at home. These are gigantic. These bones are so thick.
Anyway. We're going to add the aromatics in at the end, as per the usual. We'll talk about the aromatics in just a second, but first let's just get these in the water and boiling. Okay. So while that heats up, here's a reality versus expectation. Doing a lot of these broths takes forever. There's so much waiting. This isn't something that you just do actively for like a day or something. Even right now, we're waiting for this thing to heat up and boil for 15-20 minutes. That feels like a long time. In the waiting time, you have to do other stuff. Prep something, clean something, make sure that stuff isn't on fire. I like this chord. Great, I've distracted myself for 20 minutes. This has been going long enough. It's time to dump the water out, clean the bones, put them back in the pot, fill it back up, and then we're gonna let it go for a day. So anyway, let's just replace this. Yeah, this already just smells so much better than the pork bones did at this point. Oh my gosh, that filled so fast. Truly magical. Alright, so at this point really the only thing left is to wait for a day. I'm going to try to keep this around 15 psi. Alright, ready? So in all the space movies when there's like a moment, somebody drops out of cryosleep too early and then something happens, something terrible happens. Okay, well this is sort of about what's happened at this point. I fought with my pressure cooker all afternoon, but I couldn't get it to seal. Granted, I could drive down the street and get a new seal, but I don't want to. So I was getting really frustrated at the pressure cooker and it was bad, it was crabby. And then I thought about it for a little while and what I realized is take a step back and just adapt. Just adapt to the situation. So here's what's the situation right now. Slight change of plans. Instead of 24 hours in the big pressure cooker, we're going to do about 16 hours in Cuter McGavin over here, and then we're going to use this guy for maybe like another 8 hours. I think they'll still work really good, so that's the plan at the moment. Overnight, the little guy, and then we're going to boil down some more in this. So now the hole inside of the ship has been filled and everything's okay. The day is saved. We can jump forward in time. Alright, here we go. Alright, so it's been about 16 hours. Let's get the bones from the little guy into the big pot over here. There's not even close to enough liquid in this, so let's add some. So what you notice here is that there's little bits of beef fat and marrow that are separated from the bones. I don't want to skim that out. The longer you let that cook in there, the more beef fat and hence the more flavor you're kind of rendering into the broth. I just don't want to skim that off. I want that to stay in there. One thing I am going to do right now though, so we're going to let this go for about another 8 hours. The aromatics we're only going to put in there for maybe 1 to 3 hours. We'll add those a little bit later. Mirepoix, garlic, and we'll use some peppers in this one as well. In terms of the spices, I'm going to say black peppercorn, bay leaf, and if you have it, use star anise. I don't have any right now. I would like to do a pho broth with this, but I will have to infuse the star anise in later. I think I'll throw a couple bay leaves in here and some black peppercorns in a little tea bag, and I'll leave that in there the whole time that this is cooking. But the vegetables, the foliage, that's something that we'll add later. Alright, nothing left but to wait for another 5 hours. So, see you in 5, 4, 3, 2. Man, that is disorienting. We're getting to where we need to add the aromatics. So what I want to do with these aromatics is put them in the oven for a little bit, just to brown them up so we can get a little bit more flavor in there. Onions, celery, carrots, but also some bell peppers, and a whole bunch of garlic. We're just letting that go in the oven to crisp up, just add a little bit of flavor. Want a little bit of color on there as well. So we'll wait for a couple more minutes, and then we'll see how that looks. Alright, so we got the color we need in the vegetables, and yes, I switched back to this other pot because the other one was just way too big, completely unnecessary. I'll do what I want. So now let's put a little bit more water in this pot and get the vegetables in here as well. This is it, we're down to the last 2 hours, so now all that's left is to I don't know. I probably should just clean for 2 hours. Oh man. Okay. Alright, I'll see you in a second. Alright, at this point you know the drill. Ditch the vegetables and then we're going to run this thing through a strainer. This broth is like, I think as close to a gravy as a broth is allowed to get. It's pretty great. I know I said it was going to be a pho broth, and usually pho broths are clear. Don't worry about it. It's going to be fine. This is the end of our broth series. We'll probably have one more video to do some cleanup on the ideas and also address some of the theory and maybe concerns about the cooking that you may have come up with. Other than that, thanks for going on this little adventure with me, and I will see you next time. See you later, friends.